how did you even find out that you were selected?
So I got called over to the mayor's office on, I believe it was Tuesday afternoon, and they said that they would like to have me as the chief of police. So it was kind of a little surreal experience, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
And what were some of the things that you were thinking in that moment that you were selected?
Wow, what am I thinking? Why am I doing this? No, I mean, because the reality is this: it's going to be a tough job. I mean, this is not an easy job, and there's a lot of public scrutiny. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of things that are happening in our community that we need to address and we need to get better at. I've got to rally our 616 officers together and make sure that we're operating as one team and we're giving our community the best service that we can. So, I mean, it's a lot to process.
And you talked of wanting a transparent, accountable, and community-oriented police force. So what does that mean?
Yeah, so as you've seen, I believe I'm transparent. So I believe in transparency a lot. Take our shooting, okay? A tragic event where an officer had to use force. We immediately started getting together with the community groups and talking about it. Within 48 hours, we're doing a press conference, releasing all the videos. That's important. It's important to our community. It's important that everybody understands that as a police department, we're not trying to hide things. Unfortunately, we're required to take action sometimes that are devastating to our community, devastating to our officers, and not always popular, right? So, but for us to stand in front and say, this is why we did it, this is our policies, and this is how we acted, and if we make a mistake, this is how we're going to improve. Those are all important things that our community needs to know.
And to people that may be critical of the mayor's decision, what is your response to people who may not already be on board?
Watch me. Give me a chance. I believe I'm a stand-up guy. I believe I have pure heart in wanting to do what's best for our department and our community. So just give me a chance.
And 2020 was a rough year for most police departments, including TPD. So in following that, 3 years later, what are some lessons learned that you're looking to apply?
So there's a few, right? So we learned, so you had multiple things, right? You had COVID. Obviously, we had our protests and, the death in Minneapolis. We had to learn from that. We learned how our community reacted. Our community was hurt. There were groups of our community that were out there, and this was their only venue to say, we think this is wrong. And so we had to learn from that, and we had to listen to that. And our officers have to be cognizant of the fact of if that many people are saying they don't believe in what just happened, and they don't believe that's the right way for our police department to act, then they should be listening, because we work for the community. And our community is the most important thing to our job. So in COVID, we learned how to deal with that. We adapted new practices to try to still be out on the street. Where the rest of the world shut down, we didn't. We were still out there 24/7, providing the service that we needed to provide. Our officers were in harm's way every day. But that's what we signed up for. And they did it admirably, in my opinion. So we've learned from those. We've changed some policies. We changed some direction on how we're going to respond to certain actions. But that's what we do. We learn. We're not always perfect. But as long as we don't act with malice and we try to do the best things we can do, then I'm happy with our officers.
The mayor mentioned that you weren't a Toledo resident before, but now you're going to be moving into the city. So what do you think that transition is going to be like?
So obviously I've lived in the city before. When I was married and had kids, we moved out. But one of the things that was important to the mayor, and I understand where he's coming from. He sees this as a value for our city. So I, agreed to do this. It's going to take us a few minutes to try to get, we have to sell houses, buy houses, and get kids through certain grades. And but it's going to be back in, and we're going to be here, and happy to be a part of the community again.
And there was a large group of people that were involved in the selection process, a lot of local leaders. There was this consulting firm as well that was involved. So what do you think some of the things that these different groups here locally want out of you, and how will you deliver it?
You know what? I truly think they just want us to be present. They want us to be out in our neighborhoods. They want me to be available. They want to hear from me. I think they want to see the chief. They want to be able to talk to the chief. And they want to be able to express their concerns and actually have us listen to those concerns and then take the actions that are necessary to address them. We won't always make everybody happy, But the fact is, if we can get out there and address the biggest problems we're facing now, our community will be safer, and in the end, that's going to be a happier place for them.
So you were the interim police chief, so obviously it's not a time where you're necessarily focused on long-term goals, but you've become the chief now. So what are going to be some long-term initiatives that you're going to be focused on?
So, very first thing we're going to do, obviously, I talked about is my leadership team. I have to establish that. I believe in a group kind of mentality as far as when we go by for leaders. My thought on as I have my deputy chiefs is, I want you to argue with me. I want you to tell me when you think I'm wrong. And I want you to be able to be that voice that maybe that's not what I'm thinking of. One person can't think of everything. A lot of our people have great ideas. Some of our people were through this process and we've made great chiefs. So obviously I will tap into them and utilize them and my staff. So once I can establish that, then the very next thing we'll do is look at the way our department's organized. We need to make some adjustments, and I'm not sure what those are going to be yet because I want to do that as a team. And then once we do that, obviously, in the meantime, we're still going to be doing our initiatives, our team initiatives, our stop initiatives, everything we can do to be out there fighting crime and making sure our people are in the right place at the right time. I mentioned foot patrols. I think highly of the Philadelphia Foot Patrol experiment they did. It's something that I would like to try to replicate in a few neighborhoods. So those are things that I want to try to do. So those are some things that you should see coming forward.
And there's one thing that I don't think we talk enough about, and that is officer safety as well as mental health. Those are a couple challenges that any department is facing. So in terms of officer safety and wellness, what are going to be some things you're going to be looking at to ensure that our department of 616 right now feels they're safe in their job and they feel taken care of?
Yeah. So over the last year, I helped start our wellness program. We have a dedicated wellness officer right now, and he set up a bunch of peer support teams and different programs that are available to our officers for their mental health. I truly believe policing is hard. Policing requires our officers to sometimes take on those problems of our community, right? So if our officer's not healthy and in the right mindset to do that, then they're not capable of taking on those additional burdens. And then that ends up when we have bad incidents, right? So getting our officers healthy, getting them the resources that they need are extremely important. This year we're doing a full day of training on wellness training, where not only mental health but physical health too. We have our medical practitioners that are in our training, doing screenings, looking for heart disease, looking for high blood pressure, things that could cause harm to our people. So those are all things that we're looking to take care of our people. One of my most important things is just making sure our officers know, do your job right, do it with a clear conscience and pure of heart, and I've got your back. We will support you.
And all those resources that you mentioned, are those accessible?
Yes, they are. Absolutely. Yep. So we have different clinicians that they can go and talk to, and we've got grants that will actually help pay for those. So it's not even coming out of the officer's pocket to do it. So we recommend officers going and taking advantage of those services. And in the years when I was young and I first came on, there was a stigma against it, right? And that's not there anymore. We're making sure that we're pushing forward that you being healthy is not bad. You talking to somebody is not a bad thing. That is a great thing, and that's only going to better you and our department and your family. We bring home a lot of stuff from this job, and if you have someone to talk to and you can clear that out, then by all means, you should take advantage of that.
That's definitely a true sentiment. And one other issue that we're continuing to deal with as a community, many other cities are as well, gun violence. And we had a couple shootings last night, and it was almost 2 months since we had our last gun violence incident. So what do you want Toledoans to know about your response to gun violence?
Yeah, so it's an important issue, all right? I know the last couple years have been unacceptable numbers. So the very first thing we need to do is get to those pre-pandemic numbers. And that's in of itself is a significant cut, but that's not enough. Then we have to figure out what initiatives we can do, who we can partner with, who we can work with to help drive those numbers even down further. In the end, one homicide is unacceptable, but the fact of the matter is it's a society we live in right now, but we need to start working with our youth and our families to make sure that they find other avenues to deal with their frustrations, their beefs, or whatever it might lead to those shootings. But those are things that we're going to work on, and we're going to be out there every day doing it.
And during the mayor's State of the City address, he identified about 271 people in our community that are most at risk when it comes to gun violence. So what's it going to be like, that process, and reaching out to those people so we can prevent more of these incidents?
So obviously we have a law enforcement response, but that's not the only response. If we can get Cities United in, they can bring together community groups, they can bring together mental health partnerships. Those are all things using our SOC to be out there to reach out to people that we've identified as being at risk. Those 271 aren't just people that are going to be shooting, those are people that are at risk of being shot too. So there's all kinds of different programs that hopefully Cities United can bring to us that will help us address those individuals and get them services and maybe prevent another homicide from happening.
For sure, and Cities United, obviously a group out of Louisville, here to facilitate a lot of the different resources in the community. So one last question for you.
All right.
What do you think the future of the Toledo Police Department looks like?
It's bright. I think we're going to be moving forward. Everybody's going to be happy with what they see, and I think we're going to have a great department that people are going to be coming to that they want to work with us.
Chief Michael Troendle, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.